or over 65 belong to the baby boomer and the generation before. Well, that generation was born in or shortly thereafter of the Great Depression. So those people saved every nickel, dime, and penny that they had because they didn't know what was going to happen. They saved it and they invested in it and they grew their money. It is the richest generation in American history. So now that they're passing, they're getting to the 70s and the 80s, and now that they're passing, they're taking all of their assets, land, cattle, trucks, annuities, bonds, mutual funds, stocks, everything that they have, and they're giving it to their beneficiaries. So whenever you start prospecting for a trust, start with your current clients first, because 9 times out of 10, your clients that you already have, you built rapport with, it's an easy question to ask, and it's an easy segue into their personal financial, as well as what they're going to be inheriting. Now, whenever you talk to people about a living trust, you really build rapport with them. And I don't care if you sell Medicare, I don't care if you sell, 401ks, doesn't matter. When you get into talking about the living trust and you explain to them and you educate them on the differences of what a trust versus a will is, and that you automatically start building rapport with your client, because you're not there to sell them a big ticket item. You are there to help them. And whenever they see the benefits of a living trust, they understand this is something they need to do, or they need to have it revised or updated or created, but this benefits them more than it benefits you. It's not a big ticket item. It's not like you're trying to sell them, a $500,000 insurance policy. This is a simple $1,200 investment that gives them peace of mind, that gives them surety, and gives them something that it's kind of an intangible asset. Whenever I deliver the trust to my clients, I can see the stress coming off their shoulder because they know that we have laid out in that trust every single one of their wishes. And according to trust, their wishes have to be followed to the letter of the law. The other great thing about advantages for selling living trust is that it creates future sales opportunities. And a lot of people don't understand this, but this future sales opportunities is huge. I mean, you would be surprised at what comes out of just a discussion about having a living trust. So it really sets up future sales opportunity, which is really where, A, you're going to grow your sales, and B, you're going to make a whole lot more money. Now, when you talk about living trust, you really need to touch on the quality, the experience, how affordable it is, and the simplicity of doing a living trust. 9 times out of 10, the people that I talk to, and I ask them, do you have a will or trust, and they say no, I ask them, well, why not? Well, I haven't got around to it. But the number one response is, I just don't know who to trust. I just don't know who to go to. I don't want to go to an attorney, because everybody knows those attorneys will charge them a boatload of money, and they don't even know if it's, the right thing to do with an attorney. So you need to really impress upon them that we have over 20 years of experience doing this. We have hooked up with an attorney firm that they are solely dedicated to the living trust and estate planning. That's it. That's all they do. They don't do intellectual property. They don't do business litigation. They have done over 20,000 living trusts, created 20,000 living trusts. There's nothing that they've seen, heard, or done that they have not been involved with. So they are experts at and very experienced when it comes to living trust. Now, quality. And I want to hit on this really hard because I get this a lot, and it's kind of ironic, not ironic, ha-ha, but ironic that Tuesday I went and played tennis with some friends of mine, and there was a new guy there, and he was an attorney. And I asked him, I said, oh, well, what law do you practice? What type? He goes, oh, well, I do estate planning. And I stepped back, and I thought to myself, oh, what a great opportunity. I said, well, I'd like to learn more about that. How much do you charge to do a living trust? And he looked at me and smiled, and he says, whatever the client will afford. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Seriously. He's been doing this for 20 years. This tennis friend of mine that I just met has been doing this for 20 years, and I guarantee you he's got templates out the wazoo that he can use that would shave cost off of that living trust for the client. But they're more concerned about how much money they're going to make on that one sale. When you tell your client, we have over 20 years experience, we've been doing this we've created over 20,000 living trusts, and it's high quality, it's experienced, our firm focuses nothing except for living trust and estate planning. And oh, by the way, it's a flat fee. It's only $1,195. Whenever they hear that, they're kind of shocked if they have never priced out a living trust. And the beautiful thing is, if they go, well, let me think about it, and then they contact an attorney, and attorneys say, oh my God, no, it's going to be $4,000, $10,000. They call you up and go, okay, let's talk. So it's extremely affordable. It's a flat fee. And the beautiful thing about it is we have created this system, and if you follow the system, it's simple, and you get all of the information that you need. So it's very simple for you to sit down with your client and go through the system, collect their information. It's easy on them, and at the end, whenever I'm done taking the application and collecting all the information I need, I tell the client, look, if I have any more questions or if our firm has any more questions, well, we're going to reach out to you. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to contact me first, and I'm going to contact you. But just in case you get a phone call from the attorney, don't be surprised. He's just there to clarify some things. So it's we're extremely experienced. We produce high-quality living trust. It's affordable, and it's simple. It's very simple, not only for you, but for the client themselves. Now, prospecting. You already have client lists. Call your current clients, and I'll give you, at the end of this presentation, I will give you the one question that made me $36,000 about 2 weeks ago. And I use this one question every single time, and it works like titanium. It works better than money. The other thing you can do for prospecting is you can use our workshop marketing program that we've created. We also have a social media marketing kit that we're launching. You can explain to the client the need for the trust in 60 seconds or less. We have a 60-second pitch for that. And then you prepare your client for the meeting. It's very simple, very easy. And just so you know, and I don't know if you've read this before in our previous flyers, but 60% of Americans do not have a living trust or a will. What a huge market. The other 40%, out of that 40%, only 10% have an updated trust or will. The other 30% have an old trust. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 70% plus of millennials do not have a trust. So there is a huge need for living trusts in the market. Now, when you meet with your client, you're going to explain to them who we are, American Benefits Exchange Estate Planning and Living Trust Division. We have high quality, we're experienced, we've been doing this for over 20 years, and then you want to tell them that this is a 2-appointment process. The first appointment is for you gathering their information. So before you ever show up to the house, here's what I do is I tell them, look, I'm going to need some information from you, so go ahead and pull out your life insurance policies, the names of if you have a CPA or name of your attorney, if you have any investments, stocks, bonds, deeds to your house, car titles, pull out all of your assets and bring that information to the meeting. The second point in the appointment process is delivering the trust. So once you've gathered all the information, you deliver the trust, and it's really that simple. Now, the first appointment, you want to explain the advantages of the trust. You want to explain that this is an inclusive trust package. Whichever package they choose, package meaning a revocable, irrevocable, or a special needs trust, this is all inclusive. There's nothing that is left out. And what I mean by that is that I've had one client, it's kind of funny because they called me up and they said, hey, remember that living trust you were talking to us about? And I said, yeah. They said, well, we looked into doing it. We went to LegalZoom, and LegalZoom was going to charge us $600, but then we started looking at all the add-ons that we needed, and it came to about $1,300. And when we went to talk to him, we didn't talk to an attorney. We just talked to somebody that was answering the phone. They really didn't know a whole lot about living trust. So for the same amount of money, we'd really like your expertise. So can you come back to our house? Well, of course. So when I was there, I gathered all their information, like I said before, their deeds to their house, deeds to any land that they have, car titles, boat titles, motorcycle titles, life insurance policies, investment, their financial portfolio. And here's where you really start to gain the rapport of the client, because they are literally laying out their entire life to you. And here's where you're going to hear the good, bad, and ugly, because as you're collecting this information, and I ask the clients all the time, so how long have y'all been married? Oh, you've been married for 6 years. Oh, well, are you a blended family? Do you have kids, husband? Do you have kids, Miss Wife? Oh, yeah. So how's that working? Do they like each other? Oh, my God, no. My son doesn't like their daughters, and then the mom will chime in and saying that how, her new husband's son's a deadbeat, and you hear all the good, bad, and ugly. Well, you need to pay attention to that, and you really need to make notes, because creating the living trust is very personalized. It's not a cookie cutter. It's not like a LegalZoom, or most attorneys, they just cut, copy, and paste the client's information into something they've already created. We create personalized living trust. And let me give you an example. Whenever I'm filling out this worksheet, I've already gathered the information, I'm filling out the worksheet, I'm starting to ask a little more deep diving questions about blended families. Is there anything that you have that you don't want to go to a specific family member? Is there something that you have that you want to go to a specific member of your family? And what that tells me is what do they really want to accomplish with this living trust? What are their true personalized needs? And after I collect that information, I kind of give them the overall view of, okay, well, here's what you're trying to accomplish. And correct me if I'm wrong, but here's what you're trying to accomplish with this. And then I lay out the game plan. So you want your sister to get everything in your household. And your son, the son on the blended family side, well, you want to wait for him to get out of jail before he gets anything. And then you want to make sure that he has to stay clean and sober, and he has to wait until he's 30 years old before he can start collecting anything out of the trust. And before he even takes money out of the trust, maybe it's a good idea to actually have him do a drug test every time he makes a withdrawal. So I really dig down deep to find out what's truly in the client's wishes, and I make sure, and we create a trust specifically designed for them. I'll tell you right now, every trust that I've seen that is done by an attorney or by some other company like LegalZoom that does a living trust, they are never personalized. It's like every one of them is cookie cutter, cut, copy, and paste. So when I go through a trust with someone that already has it, and I ask them why they created it, why they created a living trust, and they start to tell me, and I start to ask them more questions, digging a little deeper. Well, then the truth comes out that this trust really doesn't fit their needs. And when I tell them that, I'm like, well, according to this trust, when the last person passes, the beneficiary split everything 50-50. There's nothing in here that divvies up the assets to each beneficiary or excludes any beneficiaries. Boy, they get really mad at that point, because everyone thinks a trust is a trust. A trust is personalized. It's very important to stress that to your clients. Now, when you're completing the worksheet, you do not want to take the packet that you have and hand it to the client and say, fill this information out and give me a call back in a week, or actually I'll touch base with you in a week. Do not do that, because it is setting yourself up for failure. What happens is you hand them the information, say, here, fill this out, and I'll be back in a week, or give me a call when it's done, or I'll call you back in a week. Well, a week goes by. You call them up, hey, have you gotten that trust done, information done yet? No, not yet. 2 weeks, same answer. 3 weeks, same answer. It's not a high priority on their list because you didn't sit down with them. When you sit down with that client, they know you're coming. They've already presented that info. They've already collected their information, and they're ready to sit down with you. And you assist the client through this process. You collect the deeds. You collect a list of their assets. You ask them about their individual details and desires. You really give them comfort, because they don't like to write this stuff down. This is probably the first time in their life they have ever poured their entire life out in front of somebody. So you build even more rapport with them. You make sure it's done correctly. You make sure that you have a personalized information so we can create the trust specifically around their desires. So after you complete the worksheet, you tell them, hey, look, we're here to help you. We've been doing this for 20 years. You can feel free to make any changes. If you want to make any changes, we're here to help you and support you through this. We'll be giving you a call after we submit this to our firm. When they complete it, then I'll give you a call. The second appointment is when you deliver the trust. So you want to educate the client on their trust. I've seen this happen many times before. An agent sells a trust. He goes back. He drops off the book. Read through it. Thank you very much. Call me if you have any questions. Bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. And I say that for several reasons. Number one, every trust is different. You want to make sure that that trust has the correct information. It follows their wishes to the T. The spelling's correct. The beneficiaries are correct. But more importantly is the first 3 or 4 trusts that you deliver, you want to read through that trust. Now, yes, there is a lot of information that's the same, but what you're going to educate yourself on is the trust, the information that goes into a trust. The more you educate yourself on what a trust involves, the better you're going to be able to sell them, the better you're going to be able to talk to them, the more you're going to be able to educate your clients through it, and the more examples you'll have. Now, after you've done 10 or 12 of these and you've read 10 or 12 trusts, you'll get the general idea of what all is in a trust. But you want to take that trust when you deliver it, and you want to walk your client through the notebook. It's going to come in a really nice binder, 3-ring binder, and you're going to guide your client through the notebook about every section in the trust, what it is, what it pertains to, and what it means to them. And again, you want to make sure that you talk about how we're there to support them. The last thing is that it needs to be notarized. Now, there's part of the trust, every trust that I've ever done, now again, I'm in the over 65 market most of the time, they own their house. So we take their house and we put it into the trust. And in order to do that, it needs to be notarized. And there's some other documents in there that also need to be notarized. So you can tell the client, look, we can do this a couple of ways. You can take this to your local bank and have it notarized. You can take it through to your local realtor. Most realtors have a notary there. They're more than happy to notarize it. Or we can have a notary come to you. It's an extra charge, but they can come to you. And there are lots of mobile notaries out there. I use one here where I live in North Texas. Every time I do a trust, I tell the client before I get there, you know, this is going to need to be notarized. Do you want to leave your house, or would you rather for me to bring somebody to you? It's an extra charge, but it makes it easier. Oh, no, just have them show up at my house. So I have a mobile notary that I work with, and she gives me leads. I give her business. It's a great relationship. And when I walk out of that house, that trust is complete. It's absolutely complete. The customers understand what it is, how it affects them. Their wishes are going to be met. It's signed, sealed, delivered. They don't need to do anything else. The only thing they do need to do is to take the warranty deed to their local courthouse and have it filed, so that way they put their house into the trust. It's called funding the trust, and we'll get into that more in the training. Now, further estate planning opportunities, and here's what I mean by this. And like I said this before, the greatest transfer of wealth going on right now is huge. 80% of America's wealth is being transferred. So once you do a trust, you're finding out, and 9 times out of 10, you're actually meeting with the beneficiaries of the trust. You're meeting with their kids, their grandkids, you're building rapport with them. And this happened to me last week as I was going through the trust paperwork, collecting the information, the beneficiaries. We did it at the widows, the ladies just recently widowed. Well, she wanted to meet me at her daughter's house. So we met at the daughter's house. We went through the whole process, filling out the application, collecting the information. And then after it's done, I delivered the trust to her. And the daughter asked me, she says, so I really like what you did. Can you do the same thing for me? I'm like, well, how old are you? She's like, well, I'm, 44. I'm like, it's a great opportunity to create a living, to create a trust. Now, are you married? No. Do you have any kids? No. Okay. Well, where'd you go to school at? Texas A&M. Oh, good school. What do you do? Well, I'm some high, I can't remember her title, but she's in a law firm in business litigation. So the more we talked, I asked her, well, what's the purpose of this trust? She says, well, I've got a 401k that I'm just not doing anything with. I'm really nervous about it, and I really would like to do an annuity, but I want to start putting my assets into a trust just in case something happens to me. I get sued, or I have a stroke. I want to make sure that my assets are protected. Okay, so all of a sudden, I'm starting to get all of the information: life insurance policies, annuities, 401ks, health insurance. I'm collecting all of her information while sitting down delivering one trust. I'm creating another application for another trust. So it creates a huge opportunity for you to have access not only to your clients, but their beneficiaries' information as well. So it really opens up the door for further estate planning opportunities, as well as you can actually, once you've collected all the information, once you've delivered the trust, you have all the client's information right there. Then you can start talking about their current life insurance or their current 401ks, or there's a lot of future opportunities for you to sell your client